Hey everyone, welcome back to a new video. So today I have wanted to, this is thoughts and feelings I've had for a long time, and I sort of wanted to let them out to you guys, I guess, and my current views with the sport in general, and basically why I've really been struggling so far this year with my racing. I know from the past that the videos where I've been really raw and open to you guys have always been the videos you've been most interested in and the videos that have done the best, which is great when my racing is going well over here in France, but most of the time it's not, and I really struggle to have the motivation and do the videos, create these videos when the racing isn't going well. And yeah, so far this year for the 2025 season, it's probably been my worst. I have really struggled, both mentally and physically, but more mentally. That battle has been really hard, and I've certainly questioned a lot of things so far this year, and I sort of wanted to just come clean with you guys today why that is, and what it might be. So yeah, I think I'm just going to get into it, these reasons of why I don't think I'm doing well and what my thoughts and views are. I don't really want this video to sound like excuses, but it's just my current views on it all. So I think there's a few things that I've noticed this year that have been way worse in racing than they have in any other previous year. I think one of them is average speed. I think the average speed in races this year has just gone to a new level. I think there are many factors to this. When I first moved to France and started racing 3 years ago, a good average speed for a race was 40 kilometers an hour or 25 miles an hour. But we're looking at races I've done this year, the majority of them are 45 kilometers an hour or around that average. And sometimes that can have up to nearly 2,000 meters of climbing in them, which is a huge amount, and it's so noticeable. I think there are reasons for this. I feel like cycling as a sport at both the pro level and the national level that I'm at is currently in a very big arms race. I think this has been noticeable since lockdown, or since after COVID and everything in 2020. The pro racing completely changed. I think there's an arms race in terms of development in nutrition, clothing, aerodynamics in the sport, and I think it's great for the overall sport, but for racing I think something needs to change because of these factors, like how fast the bikes are getting, how fast the equipment is, and everyone being on the top of their game. The racing is just each year dramatically increasing, and it's so noticeable. I think then another factor that I've really struggled this year is the lack of respect that is now in the peloton. I think people don't have the same respect because the current age of riders at this level is a lot younger than what it was before COVID. And again, I think this is something that's noticeable in the pros. People are taking more risks as well. I think, don't get me wrong, this is similar in the professional level, but a lot of these professionals have got that ticket. I know they fight contracts and there's still lots of battles, but a lot of these professionals have got that contract and signed it. And I think the level of racing that I'm at, people are taking more risks because they know it's only one race win away of getting that pro contract, and people don't respect others and will fight so much more to get that contract than older, more mature riders. And it's something I've noticed this year as well, that people are taking more risks. So another factor I forgot to add is that I feel like there is also a problem in terms of numbers of riders at races. This was especially noticeable at the start of the year. And I think the main reason for this was that sadly France, and where I'm racing in Brittany, has started to go like the UK in terms of the racing and teams folding. At the end of last year, there were multiple top national teams that were in France or in Brittany that folded out of the blue. People can't fund these teams anymore, and the support's not there. And it's not like these teams are not getting results. I know 2 teams based in Brittany here that are at the top National 1 level that folded out of the blue in September last year, and they were pretty much cleaning the floor in terms of race results and victories last year. And I think what this has meant is that although these teams have folded, there were huge amounts of riders in September and October last year that needed to find teams. So the level of racing is still there, but it means more riders have moved down to the lower level. And so when it came to racing at the start of the year in previous years, instead of having 12 teams of 6 riders, you had 20 plus teams, and it could vary from 6 riders, 2 riders, 4 riders. And I think basically there was an overcrowding and too many people on certain races. A prime example of this that I can think of is there was a race I did in March that I did 2 years ago, and there was around 100 people that did it. And then I did it again this year, this same course, same circuit. And there were 200 people doing the race. And what the organisers hadn't taken into account was that it made the racing so much more sketchy and dangerous when the peloton was double the size and people were trying to fight to get to the front, but the roads were too small for 200 riders. And sure enough, within a couple of laps, the race ended up having to get stopped because there was a huge crash and the race had to get neutralised. So I think this is another factor. Put these two together, the speed and the risks in the sport, and it has led to what I've seen and noticed a lot more crashes. There's been too many races I've done this year where they've had to be stopped, not just on one occasion, but on multiple occasions because of crashes, and the races have had to be neutralised or either completely stopped because of lack of ambulances from people breaking bones. And there's been races where this has happened 2 or 3 times and the organisers still haven't cancelled the race after 2 times of it being stopped. And I think as a rider, it's so hard to mentally build yourself up to put these risks you're going through, and then after it's being stopped 2 times, your motivation can completely fluctuate and you don't really want to be there. And there's situations where I've been where I haven't want to been in that race, but they've continued it and sort of gone, oh yeah, everyone just take it easy, and 5 kilometers later, it's the exact same. And I think that things really need to change in the sport generally, or in the not too distant future, something really bad is going to happen. It could be as bad as leading to a death, someone dying because of the risks, which is not what I want to see, and I don't think anyone in this sport wants to see. So I feel like changes need to be made, and I know the UCI have recently started bringing in factors to try and change this and help reduce these speeds and stuff to stop the risk of crashes and bring more safety to riders. So I will be interested in what happens in these tests and in the future. I think as the 3 years have gone on of me racing out here in France, I've certainly been thinking about a lot of these things a lot more. And it's a lot easier to take a risk when you're at the front of a race and you know you're getting a result out of it. But as I've struggled this year, it's a lot harder to take them risks when you're just trying to get round or get in the bunch. And after seeing crashes I've seen this year, I've got to the end of races and I've questioned all of it, why I'm doing it. I still have a love and passion for cycling, but it's a lot harder to motivate myself when I have these things around me all the time. And I think really that's why I've been struggling so much. And it's something that I'm trying to work on, and that's where the mental side of it is more important than ever. So what I'm trying to get out of this video is, I hope I'm not the only one in France, that in Europe in general racing, that has noticed this change gradually over the last couple of years, but this year the most. And I hope there are ways we can change this in the future and it can get better as a sport, and why I have struggled so much. So that's pretty much it. I've just wanted to tell you guys how I've really felt about a lot of things, and why I've been so quiet, and why I've had lack of videos, because I haven't, it's been really difficult. And I hope there are other people out there as well who race who feel the same as me. So that's pretty much it for this video, guys. I'd like to know people's thoughts in the comments and what they think about all of it, and maybe ways we can change the sport. Please give the video a thumbs up if you haven't. Subscribe to my channel, and thank you very much for watching.